Christmas is so close you can practically smell it. So as the RuneScape team prepare to eat their own body weight in mince pies and Brussels sprouts, there's just enough time for behind the scenes to quiz them on their highlights of the year so far.
The World Wakes marked the end of the 5th Age and was the first time that we've actually killed a god, or more importantly, that the players were actually there to see a god die.
In the World Wakes, you meet Orlando Smith, and he's a historian who's kind of found these chambers underground that he thinks are really important.
It was really strange before we released World Wakes because we couldn't say anything at all about it. We had this big quest that was going to change everything, and all we could say is, oh yeah, go to see Guthix's bedroom. Just watching all the players come out going, kind of...
The World Wakes actually made some people cry when they played through the quest, and to have that kind of emotional attachment was quite an exciting thing.
Virago is really exciting just because he's kind of on a scale that we'd not really seen before in RuneScape.
I love watching players getting massacred, frankly, and it's really good to put a proper challenge into the game.
He's done a lot of things that weren't possible before. He's got like the phase change every week, so it's a bit fresh to keep it fresh players rather than just going back and grinding it again and again.
It's interesting to see who goes in there with kind of like welfare gear, who goes in there with like just all their best stuff, and just watching the gravestones appear afterwards.
It's really exciting, it's team-based, and the final kill looks amazing.
So when the player actually sort of climbing up the top of Virago and taking a massive big weapon and cleaving him. For so many years, I've been desperate to bring bacon into the game.
Eli Bacon thinks he's come up with the best invention in the world, which is pig meat.
He was really kind of dark and mysterious and quite disturbing.
There's low intimations that maybe he might have been a bit of a serial killer.
It was a really funny quest. I think it reminded people of some of the older quests we do that were a load of fun.
You can see the influences of Mod Mark, kind of in the bacon and the fun jolly tone. And then you see the influences of Mod Tony, where it's all just horrible and evil. I also like having a battle pig. You can't beat having a battle pig.
RuneScape 3 was so big that it justified putting a new number at the end of our name. The big changes that we made to the main game screen window were huge.
I can now make myself a lot more combat effective, regardless of the situation.
It's completely changed how I play it. It really has. I just kind of break up all of my, all my various equipped and inventories and my combat abilities, and just have that all on screen at once.
Audio is really important in RuneScape. It's vital that when you're trying to provide an immersive experience that you can assault as many senses of the player as possible.
We all got a little lump in our throats when we heard the RuneScape theme played by a huge orchestra for the first time. It was pretty special.
Some of the biggest things that we added with RuneScape 3 was a world event battle. And this actually was the first evidence of the 6th Age where two huge, great big gods, Saradomin and Zamorak, came back to the game world and decided to lock horns over Lumbridge.
You're not thinking small scale.
No.
We had to sort of, just blow the roof off it and do something really big.
So it was the first time that players could really choose an allegiance for their god and fight for their god, and I think that was something really quite cool and exciting.
Especially for lore players, it's really interesting to see these gods that they've kind of known about for so long but not met.
And you can't get more archetypical than Zamorak and Saradomin.
Lumbridge was completely destroyed. There's this massive crater there which they're fighting over. So we've really changed the face of one of the kind of most familiar places in RuneScape.
Divination was the first skill that we've released in RuneScape for over 2 years.
Everyone was really, really excited about divination as a new skill. It's a really big update to the game.
What I like is that first sense of exploration with a new skill. You're kind of leveling up through, unlocking things. You don't know what they are. You start researching it. Is this going to be viable for me? I love that about a new skill.
So divination continues the kind of 6th Age theme because you're collecting and using energy that's there due to Guthix's death.
Divine energy was a new resource type that allowed you to make loads of cool new useful items.
Lots of good rewards there, like Dean's obviously enjoying the combat ones that brings him back to life when the waterfalls get him in Virago. But yeah, and I personally enjoyed it because I made the NPC Max train it with the players, which seemed to go down really well.
Birthright of the Dwarves was really exciting because it was the first time that players could choose which quest they wanted completed. So they could choose between dwarves, pirates or gnomes, and as we now know, dwarves came out on top.
Birthright of the Dwarves is the end of the dwarf storyline, which saw the players deciding who was the true king of the dwarves.
I think somehow I ended up with a drunken dwarf.
Nice. Good king.
We knew from the start that Birthright from the Dwarves we really want to get player involvement.
First time we sort of opened our doors to the players to make them part of the development team.
And we even got players come into the office and submit things through the forums so they can actually design some of the elements of the quest.
We got some really good stuff. You can't beat the Chaos Giant with its 3 revolving arms on the side. That's just, you can't beat that. We loved that when that first came
As
in.
soon
We
as
knew
the
that was a winner.
concepts came in, we were just laughing at it. Like, we had some great suggestions, and we saw that and we were just like, that's excellent.
Missing Presumed Death is another fantastic quest that we added to the game. It saw Slisk come to life for the first time, the Master of Shadows, and the way that he's manipulating the gods to dictate the future of the world.
And he kind of has called all the gods to this summit.
It was the first time everyone got to see the gods in one place.
We even got to see Brassica Prime, just sat in the corner watching it all going on.
It's so kind of amazing to have all these gods in one place and see kind of the continuation of the Sixth Age storyline.
It was a difficult storyline to wrangle with and have try and hide what was really going on. I like this one because it introduced the elves, for those that hadn't seen them perhaps before, so it's a low entry, low barrier quest. Obviously the little nod to the Barrows and the Shadows realm in there, that little Easter egg if people found that, and a good mix across the board for skills and stuff, and we got to see the gods, so really, really good quest.
I thought it was massively overrated.
The developers did a cracking job on the new Barrows content that we added this year, which was called Rise of the Six.
Rise of the Six is Slisky bringing, because obviously he's got the new sort of godly sort of level powers now, so he's returned to his faithful bodyguards, the Barrows brothers. He resurrected them in the Shadow Realm, playing around with extra powers.
It saw players teaming up together to try and take down the Barrows brothers working as a group, and was without doubt some of the most vicious content that we released in the year.
We got to see more evolving combat, which was awesome. I was filming at RuneFest and just got to watch every player that had a go at it get their ass absolutely kicked.
I was happy that no one managed to get a kill, but also happy that they were learning the mechanics. So it was a good way to scope out how the release would go.
They should be the badasses they are. Chris made them that, they are hardcore, and I think they represent their lore very well now.
I'm now trying to crowbar bobbleheads into every update.
They just worked so well. I can't believe I hadn't thought of that before.
Yeah.
World Event 2 basically sees the Bandos and Armadillo go against each other, and they're collecting the divine energies to power their siege weapons to take each other out.
Bandos and Armadillo both have caravans that are kind of travelling around the world, and the players can choose to protect them or destroy them, depending on which god they're supporting.
And also whether or not they actually wanted to get involved with Surface World PvP.
It's about, properly fighting on a battlefield for each god. I think that really formed the kind of core.
I'm probably a Bandos fellow, slightly disheartened there at the moment, but I'll still go on warring.
The voting within World Event 2 informed not only the overall outcome, but also the strategy that takes place each week.
With players working together to decide which things to build at different nodes. We learned a lot from World Event 1, and we made World Event 2 even better.
I just like that you get to kill a god, because power to the player.
At the start of the year, we actually brought back an old school version of the game back from 2007.
I've really liked old school because it's done a cracking job of kind of being a pioneer in terms of getting player feedback and polling things to players, things like the White Dragons, that sort of thing.
I think Old School was a prime example of showing how Jagex are willing to listen to what the players want.
Old School wasn't just a game brought into life by the players, it's one that they drive week in, week out through discussions on the forums, polls. They really decide a huge amount about how that service evolves. I think that's really brilliant. One of my highlights has got to be the improvements we've made to the game's overall health, the daily experience that players have in RuneScape. Through the middle of the year, we've got much more aggressive and sophisticated with our use of an upgraded bot watch system.
When there's no bots in the game, it means that you know that everyone around you is actually there. They're actually playing the game. It makes everything so much more social.
And for me, probably the most profound change has been the introduction of bonds. These have dealt a massive blow against gold farmers and real-world traders whose activities have been really diminished and are at the lowest point in many years. Bonds have also had the side effect of allowing RuneScape's paid services to be earned through in-game effort rather than real-world money.
To buy things like tickets to RuneFest and joining the Premier Membership Club.
Did you know you can buy top trumps for 3 bonds?
Wicked, I'm getting
I
a
was going to
set.
buy some.
I'm going to get a set, yeah.
2013 was another awesome year for Jagex, but really it just encourages us to do even more in the future.
Next week, find out what the RuneScape team are doing in 2014 to make it the best year for the RuneScape community yet. In the meantime, from all of us here at Behind the Scenes, have a very Merry Christmas.